Timing job gone wrong. Hello everybody, good day to you guys. Welcome back to the channel. Now what we have here, this is not Bob from Bendin' with Bendin'. This is a piece of cheese on a stick. It's not actually cheese, but it looks like cheese. It's a cleverly shaped wedge. What I'm gonna do is use this piece of cheese on a stick here to save me about 10 hours in time. See, we just did this job on this truck about last week or so, and this camshaft phaser right here immediately failed and made the car break down. The guy was stuck on I-4 after he picked up the truck. What had happened was this caser kind of crapped out and it locked in the fully retarded position. This is a VVT phaser. It uses oil pressure from this solenoid through the cam housing to pressurize and depressurize this phaser, and that phaser will change the clocking of the camshaft relative to the outer side of the sprocket and the crankshaft. Now this thing failed and this cam was locked into the fully retarded position. So one cam was advancing, the other cam was trying to advance, but it couldn't, it was stuck in the other direction. So we're gonna take this piece of cheese right here and I'm gonna use this thing to dig out this thing without pulling the timing cover off and without removing the timing system, so I can change this defective phaser. We got a new one. This is another Ford part. I bought this one from my Ford dealership. The other one, that's a Ford part. I don't know where it came from. So was it counterfeit? Don't know. Was it old? Don't know. Was it factory defect in the wrong part number? Don't know. But what we're gonna do here today is get this one removed and swapped out with that one. So what I'm going to do here is we're gonna take this guy down. Now the area between the chain here and the chain here, as they come together under the cover, that is encroaching the area where the tensioner is. We're going to take this piece of cheese, shove it in between the between the two sides of the chain, and use it to push down against the tensioner and collapse that tensioner to give us some tension, or to relieve some tension rather, on this chain, so we can unbolt this unit and pull the thing out. All right, a little bit of light on the subject. We can see our piece of yellow down there. We're just gonna shove that down the hole, and that is going to push against the chain and the tensioner and give me a little bit of a release on this chain here. Pushing it down. Oh, see, you move. Got some release out of it. Let's go a little bit further. Push it down a little bit more. There we go. A little bit more chain, see that? One more click. I think that should be enough. I think I can get this guy out now. So let's get some handy dandy vice grips here, because this cam will have to be manipulated some. Let's get a vice grip on there so we can turn it if need be. Begin clicking. There we go. That's on. Very good. So now, got a 15 mil socket on a 90-degree impact gun, right? Let's take that guy out. That's our fastener. Entering surgical mode. Chain to come off. So as long as that wedge stays in between those two pieces of chain, we're good. If that wedge comes out, that chain is going to fall off the crank gear and it's going to be out of time. That would be bad. Okay. Okay, here's our new unit. Now there's an alignment pin right here that has to align right there on a little notch on the camshaft. Let me get you in close, you can see it. Little notch right there. That pin on the back of that gear has to fit inside of that hole. Now this will be done very carefully so as not to disturb the delicacy of the situation at hand. What I'm going to do is eyeball this as best as possible, I guess. Get the chain on this side of the gear. There we go. So now That's the orientation of the gear. So what we have to do, can't see, bear with me guys. It's gonna go like so. So I'm keeping tension on the bottom side of this chain. Where my right hand is, we're gonna pull this back off. Slide the chain on. Hopefully I got it aligned properly. If not, I'll have to take it off and move it a tooth or two. Uh-oh. Freak out. Uh-oh. I lost my alignment in my head. Okay, that's gonna go there again and restart. Close. It's like almost right there. I'm trying to eyeball the pin in the back. So I've got this thing turning counterclockwise to keep some tension on the bottom side. And there's the pin. There's the pin. And there's the hole. I don't know if I'm one tooth off or not, or if that's just some chain stretch. Let me try to rotate this gear one tooth left. It might be too far. Keeping gravity. Let me move you guys over here some. That's one tooth left. Yeah, that was way off. We're way off on that. One tooth to the right again. We are like right there, super duper close. There it is. There it is. Okay, so now the pin is in position. Whew. It's a lot of stress on the back doing that kind of stuff. All right, so these are supposed to be one-time use bolts, and I believe I've got a new bolt again, so let's get that center bolt in, and then we'll check everything for the proper time. I believe torque on this is 35 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees, right? All right, there's 35 pounds. Okay, let's pull the wedge out. And voila. Good to go. So I'm a little curious, and I've never done this before. Let's try to get this thing apart and see if we can't see what failed inside. Oh, I just heard the spring snap all crazy. Did you hear that? It did something. So what happened in here? Let's see what we've got. Okay, so what we have here, that appears to be a pin of some sort, right? Spring loaded or something. That just rides on the back of this. So there should always be some pressure pointing in there for some reason. This is almost looking like an oil pump. See, it's got these cavities here for your oil. Dump that out. Oh, I see. I think this spring was the pin. Maybe that screw is the pin that holds on to this spring right here. This is the return spring designed to push that into, I'm assuming, the advanced position. Yeah, because the spring's gonna want to push this direction right here. No, it wasn't a screw. I'm not sure what contacted that. Anyway, let's try to separate this some more. Pull the outer gear off. Got the little vane pieces for your oil chambers. Get rid of those. And our point of failure. How's this come apart? With some tools. Our point of failure was whatever this guy was pushing against inside that caused this thing to lock. So we've got machine tolerances in here that aren't right, but this is not coming apart any farther. I don't think. Yeah, I do not believe I can get this apart any more than what I already have. This might be pressed on or something. Well, I didn't find my smoking gun point of failure except the relationship between this outer housing and this inner housing. Something in here jammed up, probably on the end of this. We've got this device here that pushes on the spring. Whatever the spring is pushing against inside of here is where our point of failure occurred. I can't really even tell or see what it is. There's a hole right there, down the bottom of that hole. It's like a pocket. So I'm assuming whatever goes in there has fallen out or become lost. I don't really know. That's it. That pin sits in there. Spring pushes against it. And that's our locking mechanism. That little guy removed, which it's now stuck, it unlocks. So this little guy and this spring and this little guy somehow got jammed up in the inside of there. That's our problem. Fair enough. Okay, so now we gotta get this thing torqued and tight. So I'm gonna put these vice grips back on the cam to hang on to it, because what I don't want to do is try to torque this to 90 more degrees on that bolt and then use the chain and the guide and the tensioner to pull against while I'm trying to torque that. We're not going to do that. So I'm going to cheat real bad. I know that that's tight, and I know that we're at least 35 foot-pounds, okay? So I've got the dot on my socket right here referenced straight up and down, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to manually identify 90 degrees. So we're going to hold on to this, the cam can't move. We're just gonna blurp this with the impact until we get 90 degrees out of that bolt. You ready? It's 110 degrees, but I'll take it. So now, that guy is torqued. Now, I know it's in time, because if you guys recall the last video when we opened this up, we found this cam in the retarded position. When we pulled on it with the vice grips, we heard it click into position. So that's the normal position that this phaser right here is defaulted to. So now that it clicked into position relative to the crank, we know that that's the proper alignment for the gear and for the timing chain. So when I took it off and put it back on and just barely moved that a little bit, that was to accommodate and account for the slack under the chain, or under the phaser on the chain. And once I pulled out that little wedge thing, it all found its equilibrium again. But I'm of the opinion, and I believe, that this is correctly in time at this point in time. Okay, so let's do a quick timing check. I've gone to all dead and I pulled up the picture of what it looks like, and I've barred this crankshaft over to align the passenger side. So the way this is going to work, do you see the, hang on, let me get the light right, it's too bright, too much Olight power available at rainmanauto.com. Anyway, we've got too much brightness, but you guys see the R right there? Now that R is accompanied, like the vertical part of the R, there's a little triangle pointing upwards, and that is our first timing mark indicator. Now when we set these up, the chain is going to have a colored link and a colored link. You're supposed to put that arrow between the colored links. But now that arrow on the R, if you draw an imaginary line down through the center line in the middle of the bolt right there, it should be a true vertical, straight down, up and down. So using my ichrometer, I have concluded that that R and the arrow on said R is vertical. It passes through the center line on a vertical plane, straight down center line of the cam. So I know that this side is in time, okay? Now with that side in time, barring the engine over clockwise to put some tension on the chain and put slack on the slack side, we do the same thing here with the L on this chain. See how that's got the little arrow on it? Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw an imaginary line from that L through the center line of the camshaft, and that should be pointed directly, let's see if we can do this on camera, directly at the crankshaft. So basically that L needs to point at that crank bolt right there. And from judging what we're looking at right here, imaginary line through the cam, center of the cam, straight down, right there to the crank. See that? Booyah. And wouldn't you know, I don't have my laser flashlight Olight here to make a demonstration. I wanted to use the laser, but it's not gonna work. So, lining all that up, I've concluded that this is now in time. It's been double checked, it's correct. So now all we need to do is throw the valve covers back on, put it together some, and fire it back up, clear the codes, and drive it one more time. All right, moment of truth. Flashlight. His effort failed. The flashlights get me every time. Hey, it's quiet and it's running. Look at that. No misfire. Nice. So the scan tool with us. Let's check some data. All right, scanner Danner. Let's get this thing to power back up. IDing. Come on, scanner, let's do this. Taking long enough, aren't you? One eternity later, ready to rock and roll here. Let's see, go back into engine. Codes menu, we're just gonna clear them all out. Clear codes, please. Yep. Check engine light off. Turn off now. There we go, cleared, beautiful. Now we're gonna go into engine data, and we're gonna look at the VVT action and see what the camshafts are doing now. So we're gonna go scroll it down, variable cam timing data, continuing. Remember we had positive max on the right bank, that's bank 2, and we were negative max on the left bank. I'm sorry, bank 1 is the right, bank 2 is the left. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the firing order. And we can see our cams are in sync. No huge number, no 50 degrees. Everything's looking good here. Let's give it some throttle. say we're good. That's a victory. Comeback complete. And like I said earlier in the beginning, this will be the last time I install customer supplied parts. Never again. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. End of video. End of Ford comeback. End of redo. End of transmission.